Welcome Virgo and Virgo cross watchers to your singles new love read for February 2023. So we're going to get a card for you, card for where you are, where you're headed, and what's hidden or what you need to know. And then from this deck we'll get a card for the next love interest, good or bad, for Virgo Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, and that'll be time-stamped in the description box below. So welcome everybody. I'm glad to have you here. Hope you've had a good week. What's happening? Virgo. Don't be mad. I feel like there's something here that it almost feels like you may be really drawn towards it. It may be but it feels like instead of just pulling you towards it, it's kind of pulling you towards and down. You know what I mean? It feels like there's something here that it almost feels like not the reality of the situation necessarily, but it's like the outcome isn't something that you're able to see right now. It's almost like there may be something here that okay, let me ask you a question instead of telling you something. Virgo, are you still hung up on a past situation? Because from what I'm seeing, to a certain extent you are. And now does that still mean that you're emotionally attached to that? Maybe not. But it is taking up a lot of your headspace. And I feel like you are doing your best to ignore it here. But it almost feels like it feels like there was some sort of betrayal of your trust. And I feel like the reason this keeps playing over and over in your mind is actually because you kind of you don't really want to admit to yourself that betrayal was there. For example, now this may not be the actual situation, right? So it's almost like, let's say you were in a relationship with somebody and that person stepped out, and two of your friends saw that person out with somebody and they chose to keep the secret over telling you. So it's like, because those people, it's almost like you don't want to see them that way. I feel like obviously there's going to be pain with coming to terms with that. And I feel like for some of you, you may actually feel like you've already put it behind you. And from what I'm seeing, I'm not so sure that you have. So I think we're going to get clarifier on this devil energy. So there's Scorpio, or the death card. What's a little bit, I guess you could say, peculiar here is that with this combination, I'm actually feeling like there does seem to be like the herald of a new change sort of thing. It's like a new change is coming in with trumpets blaring and all that kind of thing. And it almost feels like what you're holding on to in this situation is maybe not so much the issue with your ex-partner. It actually feels more that you may have some resentment and some anger still left over from those people that you feel should have had your back. It's almost like maybe they did actually make an appeal to you. Excuse me. It's almost like, instead of them apologizing, it's like their apology was mixed in with a bunch of nonsense excuses. And it's like, you know that they know that the excuses that they're throwing at you are, whether they're true or not, they know that you're not going to accept the excuses, right? I almost want to say like that's a bit of a cop-out here. And I feel like with this change coming in, hold on for a second here. It actually feels, so sometimes the change is like it's coming and no one can stop it, right? But I actually feel here that you will have a choice. If you want this change that's kind of coming past you, or if you want to stay where you are. And you know your situation best. I'm not feeling direction in the cards as to which way to go. I do feel that because you're feeling, some type of way about these people that have betrayed you, which of course would make sense, right? I feel like it feels a little bit like you kind of want to stay there, and I almost want to say continue to, I'm tiptoeing around it because I just need to grow a pair. Almost wanting to continue to punish these two people until they understand what they've done to you. And I feel like it's like if you're feeling out of sorts, it almost feels like there's some sort of like energy that is really powerful around you right now, and it doesn't feel very good. I feel like it might be trying to camouflage itself as something that it's not. But it's almost like I'm kind of seeing your hand go to pick something up off the counter or something like that. And it's almost like it's one of those moments where you are looking at a bird's eye view, or like a third person sort of energy. It's like you can see yourself doing things. I feel almost like I want to say you don't want to do them. And it's like, it isn't even something that you would do normally, but it's like, it's just kind of happening almost as a reaction, or almost like, how do I say this? Almost like you feeling like you may not have control over it. You know what I mean? It's like you do. There isn't that kind of like moment that you have to think about it. So we're going to find out what that is. So we have the Mother of Wands, the Chariot, Son of Wands, Four of Swords, Hierophant, and the Daughter or Page of Cups. So, I feel like this is now it could be a person, it could be something in the spirit realm, if you choose to believe in that. Whatever it is, I feel like you may know that there are really negative intentions coming from this person, but I feel like they may have come in. It's almost like they did something to initially earn your trust or favor. You know what I mean? It's almost like maybe they protected you from something. If you have ever seen that Gangs of New York, it's that thing where Leonardo DiCaprio's character saves the main guy. Can't remember his name. Daniel Day-Lewis. I can't remember the characters' names. He saves him, and Daniel Day-Lewis assumes that that's because he's loyal to him, when actually it's that Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't, spoiler alert, actually doesn't want anyone to, like, he wants to be the one to end this other guy. So that's kind of a bit of the energy that I'm seeing here. I feel like this person may have come in acting like they're, it's almost like they knew how to get your attention, and you may have felt the whole time that this person's a little bit slimy, but it's almost like they seem to mix in some slimy behaviors with behaviors that could be interpreted as genuinely being kind for no reason, kind and thoughtful. And so I feel like that's why you may have felt really conflicted, like, well, it's almost like the energy was telling you something, but because their actions weren't matching the energy all the time, it just seemed like it's almost like you were trying to reason with something that isn't logical. if that makes sense. I also feel that this person, they seem to have a little bit of a vendetta against you. I feel that it's possible that this person, it could be this life, it could be a past life. They seem to feel that you took something that belonged to them. Or it's like maybe they see you as, you know, for example, it's like maybe you were the really pretty person or the really handsome person, the very attractive person on your street, and you got a lot of attention and they didn't. And so it's like they, excuse me, they seem to have a lot of resentment towards you. And I feel like this person, this is what I'm seeing, okay? I think at some point they may have made a conscious decision to choose between these two energies. Right? So it's like, do they want to be a thoughtful lamb or do they want to be a vicious crow? And I feel like the lamb energy hasn't been completely eradicated from them. But I'm definitely seeing that this person, it's like, it almost feels like you never really know what you're going to get from them. You know, there's some people in your life that you can count on for consistency, right? It's like either they're consistently there for you or they're consistently a jerk or whatever. It's like you never really know if this person's going to back you up or not. And I feel like because there is this history between the two of you, I feel like part of you has seen that lamb, and it's like that's who you became, emotionally attached to. And not in like the attachment negative connotation, right? It's like that's who you made the emotional connection with. And I feel like it's almost like this crow is almost like a bothersome, like a bee that won't go away. Let's say a wasp, because we don't want to hurt the bees. Whatever this other almost kind of like character of them was, I feel like to a certain extent that part of them is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't feel that this person will ever completely eradicate the lamb in them. But I do feel that it feels like this, of course, make your own decision, but from what I'm seeing, you'll never get a consistent effort out of this person. You'll never really know where they stand. And it's like there may be times where I feel like you probably wouldn't count on them to have your back. But it's almost like this feeling of never really knowing if they're going to be there or not. Do you really feel that you deserve to feel that way? And I feel like because, of course, there is that emotional connection there. And the cards aren't telling you that you have to leave this person behind or keep them around or whatever. Let me ask you this, Virgo. When you are around this person or you spend time with them, do you notice that you start doing things that you don't want to do? You know what I mean? It's like, do you start to not pick up habits, but like, do you start to have some behaviors that you wouldn't normally, that you actually don't enjoy? It just almost feels like there's this not pressure, but this, I want to say, almost like this otherworldly thing that seems to be getting in your way. So what's coming up for you? We have the Page of Wands reversed. So I feel like actually you're going to be coming to a very clear decision. It almost feels like whatever decision that is, it's very disheartening for you. And I feel like either you may take a hot minute to kind of mourn the loss of whatever you are leaving behind here and then take action. It just feels like there's a little bit of a delay here. And I actually feel like that's it's almost like you kind of making heads and tails of how you're feeling, and this kind of like um, it just kind of feels like your heart is being, it's almost like there's a snake pit down there, you know what I mean, and your heart is kind of in the middle. I feel like as you kind of let this go, there might be a little bit more to unearth internally. I feel like you may actually realize that this person, it's like some of their words may have gotten in you. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of the things that they did obviously made you feel bad, but, you know, depending on how long you were involved with them, I actually feel that this person may have kind of slowly chipped away at you. And I feel like when you disconnect from this, or when you kind of start to accept what you kind of wish wasn't true, excuse me, I actually feel like that's when you start to realize how much your, almost like your thought patterns have changed. It's almost like, whereas normally, how do I say this? For example, let's say normally you may be critical of yourself, but it actually is because you believe that you can do better. You know what I mean? It's like you believe that, like, okay, well, I didn't do that right. And listen, it does feel like you're a little bit hard on yourself. Or sorry, a little bit hard on yourself, but you kind of reach this far, and if you get here, it's kind of like, oh, I really wish that I got there. But you still achieved something, and I feel like you still believe in yourself to a certain extent, but you may not realize until you disconnect from all of this how much this person's words were running in your head. It almost feels like they may have said, it's like they may have said something or some things that seemed like they should have been jokes, but actually they were really crappy to you. So I'm going to be honest, I do see you kind of struggling with this a little bit as you move forward here. I'm just going to pull a clarifier. Okay. So we got the Devil again, clarifying the Page of Wands reversed. Excuse me. Hold on. It almost feels like you may... Oh, Virgo. I'm going to ask you a question here. As you move forward, I'm going to invite you to look at your own self, right? Because that's all we really have control over. And from what I'm seeing, you may actually see yourself starting to act like this person. And I feel like that seems to be almost like it feels like it's so severe a realization. It's such a like, you know, sometimes there's energy that's like whoosh and it kind of comes over you. This just feels so like the hammer comes down, and it's just this moment where it's like your skin is crawling. And I feel like you seem to realize that this, you know, again, this person isn't making you, you know, say or do certain things, but being around them, not only has it changed some of your internal thought patterns, I actually feel that you will see yourself say or do something to someone that you care about. It could be that you are kind of short with somebody here. And I feel like you see that you are starting to pick up some of this person's behaviors. And not because that's kind of where your heart's at. It's almost like, I think it's called cognitive dissonance, where you want to do something, but you actually do something else. And it's like, it's creating this, it's like, whereas it should be, almost kind of like a wall or a barrier between you and something. It's almost causing it to like pull and stretch. If ever you have made dough, like bread by hand, if ever you tried to stretch the dough, it's like eventually you stretched it far enough, there's going to be little kind of holes in it. I don't know if that's a good description, but so it's like the longer that you were around this person, the more this kind of stretched and the more their hatred was able to get inside you. And again, it doesn't feel like you're hating people, but some of the reactions that you're having are similar to how this person would treat people. And I actually feel like you're horrified when that happens. It feels like it's something where like you immediately are like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's not about you. You didn't deserve that. And it's like you kind of go back to your desk or wherever. And it's like when you sit down, I feel like there's some real shock. Excuse me. Excuse me. And I feel like you still may struggle with some of this. It feels like maybe this person at one point in time was this kind of a safety blanket for you, or they were really there for you, and it's like they've slowly deteriorated. It's almost that energy of, like if you put a frog into, and of course don't do this, right? It's horrifying. But the message is, if you put a frog into boiling water, it will immediately jump out. But if you put a frog into, tepid or room temperature water, and then it slowly comes to a boil, the frog won't get out. They won't jump out because they slowly it comes on instead of this immediately shocking thing. So I'm really, really happy to see this Page of Pentacles here as what's coming up for you, or what's kind of hidden here, because I feel like somebody, it could be when you are kind of, in your own thoughts sort of thing, that you seem to, it's almost like maybe you're just observing somebody, like people watching. It could be that you, hold on for a second. It's almost like you might see the effect of this negative influence in somebody that you really care about. It's like it's not just you anymore. And I feel like that seems to contribute to that really jolting feeling. It's almost like it's so jolting when you kind of come out of this fog. It's almost like you're getting whiplash or something. Now, of course, that's not the actual situation, right? I mean, I certainly hope it isn't, but it's that jarring, because I feel like you seem to, it's almost like you start to look at interactions and people and the world differently. It's almost like there's been this fog that you haven't really been able to see through, or it's like you're looking through glass that's has like years of how do you say that? Like dirt or grime, like not actual dirt, so you can't see through it. So it's like you can still see shapes and colors maybe, but you can't see, like you might be able to see that the grass is here and the sky is there, right? But you can't actually see the things. You can just see the outlines of them. I guess translucent or something. Anyway, I'm rambling. I feel like you see the effect on someone that you really care about, and that actually seems to bring out this inner strength in you that you seem to, it's almost like if you've ever heard of people where they kind of get this superhuman strength when someone they care about is in trouble. If ever you've heard about those stories where it's like people can lift up cars or something like that if they've fallen on their child or something, it feels like that's kind of the amount of strength, inner strength, coming from your heart that starts to drive every movement that you have. Going back to that imagery of your heart is here, but it's surrounded by, it's kind of in a snake pit here. I feel like when that comes out, it actually feels like either the snakes all scatter or they kind of started to scatter because they could feel it was coming. Animals can sometimes sense things. Well, sometimes, usually sense things before we do. It's that kind of an energy. And I actually feel that somebody here is going to be really shocked about how you handle this situation. But whatever this person has done, it's like it's almost, not that it's anyone's fault for anyone else's actions, but it's like if this person wanted to get a different side of you, they shouldn't have taken it as far as they did. So the next love interest for Virgo Sun. So, you have the Tower at the bottom of the deck here. With this Nine of Pentacles, I actually feel like this is somebody that it feels like you might not even really notice them at first. I feel like to a certain extent, it's like you seem to see through them pretty quickly. I feel like other people might look at this person and be like, oh, they have it all. Their life must be so great. But I feel when you look in their eyes, you can see that it's like there's a part of them inside that's kind of like clawing to get out. It almost feels like there's a lot of pain behind their eyes. And I mean, obviously you see it. And I feel to a certain extent, because this person does have a lot of things going for them, I feel like it's a little befuddling for you. Not that you're kind of like, oh, this person has no reason to be sad. It's more like it's just confusing. Like maybe you don't know them well enough to put two and two together. You know what I mean? It's like maybe you just don't have enough information about this person when you, obviously when you meet them at this time to kind of decipher why they feel almost kind of dead inside. I think we're going to pull a clarifier on this one. You do seem to have a lot of compassion for them, but I feel like you actually kind of hold part of yourself back. Holy cow. I feel like you actually hold part of yourself back because it's like you're not too sure what's really going on with them. I feel like you might be looking at it like, is this person, do they struggle with mental health? Has it just been a lifetime of sorrow? There's a lot of variables, and I feel like you are just kind of keeping your eyes open. So to clarify this Nine of Pentacles here, we have the Emperor and the Queen of Cups. This might be really specific. I feel like there is a couple here that you seem to really relate to one of that couple, and the other person, you seem to see that person as a burden upon the person that you relate to. I feel like you just bear with me, okay? I feel like please don't pay too much attention to the genders, okay? It feels like you connect more with the Emperor, and that you kind of see this Queen of Cups as somebody that is more of a drain on this Emperor than they are anything. I feel like the Queen of Cups, and it's not to knock them or minimize what they're going through, but they do seem to be very lethargic. I feel like it's almost like the Emperor realized a long time ago that they would never really be able to fill the cup of this Queen of Cups. You know what I mean? So it's almost like they seem to have resigned themselves to a certain level of unhappiness. It's like I feel like the reason they're doing it, obviously there's some love there, but it's also out of like duty and obligation at this point to take care of this person rather than, you know, being crazy about each other. Because I feel like the Queen of Cups, it's like the energy that they give to this emperor seems to be very inconsistent. It's like one day they're crazy about them, the next day everything is their fault. And it's almost like it's caused this emperor to disconnect from needing anything from this person because um it's like it's just what they've had to do to survive. So I feel like what's kind of happening here is you may be drawing a bit of a comparison between this Queen of Cups and this Nine of Pentacles person, feeling like, excuse me, you seem to have a lot of compassion and understanding for this emperor that you're connecting with, or that you identify with, really. And I feel like part of you is getting the impression that this Nine of Pentacles person isn't like this Queen of Cups. But it feels like you are kind of reserving judgment on that until you know more. Because I feel like watching this situation unfold, it's really not a situation that you want to be caught up in. I feel like I just need to pull one more on this Nine of Pentacles. Sorry, guys. One more. So we have the Hanged Man, but it came out sideways. I think we'll leave it like that. I was just asking, like, how will you feel about them? How will you kind of know that this person... you're not going to know, unfortunately. Sometimes the tarot does that, right? So the Hanged Man usually talks about kind of looking at a situation differently, getting a different perspective. And I feel like I almost want to say, you may be judging the situation, and not like being judgmental, but it's like you are judging the information that's coming in to see if it's something that you want to let in. And I feel like you actually may be doing it not knowing enough about this person to kind of actually know where certain behaviors are coming from, if that makes sense. It's like this person may be a little, let's say, for example, they're a little bit reserved, or they're this or they're that, right? It's like, well, that behavior may kind of indicate to you that it's going to be a similar situation to this. And I feel like, I mean, it's certainly possible, right? It just feels like there's a lot more going on with this person than you realize. I feel like they're facing a lot more than you might know. It's almost like this Queen of Cups is, and again, not passing judgment, it's just to illustrate the energy. This Queen of Cups is a bit spoiled, but this Nine of Pentacles seems to carry a heavy weight with them, because I almost want to say, like, because they've had to do it all on their own. Because they've had to fight tooth and nail. And it's almost like they're in an energy where they're looking at what they have, grateful that they've been able to build what they've built, but it's almost like, was it worth what they had to sacrifice? Was it worth all of the effort? Because they do seem to feel kind of a bit empty here. I feel like whatever they've done, it took everything they had. And I definitely feel like what they've been, what they've built, what they've been doing, the effort they put in, it definitely feels like it's behind the scenes. And I feel like you know that there's something more going on, and I feel like that's why you are kind of almost like reserving judgment, because you don't have quite enough information. So for those of you with your moon in Virgo moon, next person, next love interest for Virgo moon. Okay. Um, then we have the three. Oh, another card of waiting, right? I actually feel like you, and let me be clear, this isn't to tell you how you will feel. This is what I'm seeing in terms of the connection between the two of you. I feel like this person is actually quite taken with you. I feel like you are very different from who they would usually go for. I feel like this is somebody that it's almost like maybe they have gone for people before that were, you know, a little bit toxic, kind of had them tied up in knots. And they seem to be seeing you as somebody that is very different from that, someone that's very capable, someone that has kind of like a strength that they feel most people don't see. And from what I'm seeing here, I don't really see you being interested in this person. It feels like it's almost like you might know, you know, I feel like you have some information about this person that it's almost like regardless of how hard this person tries, I feel like you won't let them in. It's almost like maybe they had, you know, an addiction problem, or they were a very different person, you know, in the past. Maybe they've been really horrible to people or whatever it is, but I don't really see you going for it. It actually feels like you see it as more of a, um, almost like a distracting inconvenience. It's that kind of energy when you see this person coming. It's almost like, oh, damn it. I feel like you seem to know that they're there for a reason. I feel like they're actually there to learn something from you. And not, you know, one of those painful spiritual lessons. It could be that, but I'm not feeling that. It's more like this person needs to learn how to think. You know what I mean? I feel like maybe in the past they were taught what to think, not how to think. And I feel like you actually seem to almost like kind of expand their mind and get them looking at things differently. And I feel like they become very attracted to you because there's an intellectual connection there. But I'm just kind of feeling like you just don't really see this person as on your level. For example, it's like maybe you're a teacher and they're a student. You know what I mean? It's like it's not really an option for you. And again, that's not, you know, a message that you have to. That's what I'm seeing, that just kind of how you feel about the situation. Sorry, I should have said this is for those of you that have a rising Virgo. So we have the Six of Wands and the Chariot with the Ace of Cups here. Goodness gracious. So, oh, if ever you have seen the Spider-Man movie with I think Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield, where Spider-Man kind of leaps over the balcony to go save somebody, and Emma Stone is standing there and she's like, oh, I'm in trouble. You know what I mean? Because it's like the person seems, I want to say, like so appealing, so attractive. I feel like you see this person as someone that would be a really good option once you've kind of waded through this, almost want to say like a tar pit here. And I want to say that I feel like this person is not judgmental. And maybe you don't have this concern right now. Maybe this is just a message that if ever you do, this person may have a certain level of notoriety or success at this time, but I feel like it's like they're not the kind of person that walks around like their shiz doesn't stink with their nose up in the air. I feel like they have a very real view of the world because they've made their own mistakes, right? So I feel like if you are concerned that this person might be judgmental or anything like that. I'm not really seeing that. I do feel that this person actually may be a couple of steps in front of you in terms of like career development or where they want to be in life. And it actually feels like it's very motivating. I feel like it's part of that energy where, like you seem to um, pull out all that inner strength from your heart. And I actually feel that there may be something about their popularity that's quite intriguing to you. Hold on for a second. We're just going to pull a card on this. Hold on for a second. I feel like you actually are really flattered by their attention. I feel like you see them as somebody that is quite accomplished. And in that accomplishment, I feel like you're looking at it like, what's their game? They must be coming in to use me for something. And it's not a like, oh, you're so jaded kind of energy. It just feels like, may not be the actual situation, right? But it's almost like the person of your dreams comes into your life. And because you feel like you're kind of, I almost want to say like a bit of a mess or a hot mess. Not that you are, but you may feel that way sometimes. And I feel like you're looking at the situation like, well, what could this person want? And from what I'm seeing here is that it's actually that they don't need you to be perfect because they see what they need to see in you. You know what I mean? It's like, let's say, for example, your life isn't going, exactly the way you want it to. This doesn't mean that it's the situation. It's just to help illustrate the energy I'm seeing between the two of you. This person is able to see past all of the shiz. Right? It's like, for example, let's say you're hanging around people that don't treat other people well. But they see that it's not in you, that it's almost like, for example, let's say somebody knocks a bunch of napkins off the table or a counter or something, and then walks away laughing, and then like the person that works at the store or the restaurant has to come around and start picking them up. You're the kind of person that obviously takes issue with that. And I feel like not only do you take issue with it, but you want to change the fact that it happens, that it even is a thing, right? It's like there seems to be a real push against injustice. And I feel like this person actually sees you as somebody that almost like needs a little bit of guidance to focus all of your energy in the right direction. I do feel like they're holding back until this destructive Hierophant is out of the way, though. I feel like they see you coming out of it. You seem to be concerned about this, and I can't quite feel into why. I feel like you're worried it's going to be another punishment. You know what I mean? It's like if you have really been through it and you feel like you just kind of keep taking hit after hit after hit, and it's almost like, is the universe like freaking punishing me over here? And I feel like you're looking at something that actually seems to be very, very different from what you've experienced. It's like you're waiting for the other, or kind of you're looking for the hole in the story. So we're going to move to those with your Venus in Virgo. Four of Wands here at the bottom of the deck with the Six of Swords. I feel like there's something about this person that really seems to, I almost want to say, help you get away from this Hierophant, but not in the way that this one is coming in to save you. It's really more this person seems to lead by example. I'm not feeling entirely that they were involved in this situation. It feels like they were involved in their own garbage situation, and they got in their boat and they're like, "Oh no, I'm out of here." And I feel like you're looking at them like, "Holy crap, we can do that. We can do that." um, it's almost like they seem to have they hit their limit. The only difference is that they and it's not that they are any better or any worse than you. They just hit their limit earlier than you did. And I feel like they seem to set a precedent that that's how things can go. And I feel like when they set that precedent, everybody knows it. I feel like the Hierophant gets worse. And I feel like that seals the deal for you. Like, if you weren't done before with the Hierophant, you are now. You know what I mean? It's like, if this Hierophant wanted to push you away, they couldn't do a better job of it. It's just this energy of like, well, I'm not putting up with that. I'm hearing from you. So we have the Fool. I feel like there is a chance for a new beginning between the two of you. I feel like it is very slow going. I feel like this person, whatever happened to them, it's like you come out of this situation with such strength. It's actually kind of incredible. Because this person, maybe they had a similar experience, but they left in a different fashion, and they are deeply, deeply hurt. And I feel like there's somebody that may be really reserved, maybe somebody that is, it's like they don't really want to make eye contact with anybody. They just want to keep to themselves. They want to stay away, right? And so I feel like you're kind of over here looking adorable and almost with this kind of like new energy, and they're so hurt. It's almost like if they were to turn around and look at you, they would just fall apart. I'm almost... Sorry. I feel like if they were to turn around and look at you, it's like any strength that they have would kind of fall away for a second. Any of the walls that they've built up to keep that emotion in, it would be gone. That's why they're pushing it away, and they're keeping back, and they're this and they're that. It's not a statement on you. It's actually like this person, at least initially, it's almost like they can't even wrap their mind around getting involved with somebody. I feel like to a certain extent, it's like there's something in their head that keeps kind of tugging at them. Like, yeah, but come look over here. And I feel like they do eventually kind of give in to that, but this person has been hurt enough that it's going to take a lot. It's almost like, for example, let's say the average bear needs one person in the spirit realm to kind of push them in the right direction. It's like this one needs a whole football team. You know what I mean? Because there has to be enough of a big pull that they feel that, like, they're somehow sealing their fate for the rest of their life, or they're, going to change their destiny if they don't turn. Can we get one more card? Why is this the one that came through for the next love interest? The Nine of Swords, the Moon, and the Father of Pentacles. So King of Pentacles. So this is really interesting energy. I actually feel that you're going to see, it's like the compassion and understanding that you extend to this person because you can see how deeply they're hurting. it actually feels like it helps you to be that compassionate towards yourself, right? It's like, I feel like in understanding this person, I feel like you seem to forgive yourself for whatever, whatever you are angry at yourself for. And I feel like part of it is that you're looking at it like you don't want to waste time. It's not to say that this person is wasting time. They're on their own healing journey, right? But it's like you're looking at the situation like you don't want to get into that energy where you can't even turn around if someone calls your name. You don't want to get into that energy where it's like where you are just, it's like one more pin drop and it's like you're worried you might just give up. And I feel like that also kind of ties into you having this like burst forth thing of inner strength. I also feel that I feel like you're going to start taking more time for yourself. It's almost this energy of looking at, if you have had a lot of success in your career, you're looking at that sort of aspect now that it's like you can't take it with you. And, like you can't take that abundance with you. And I feel like you don't want to put yourself in a position where, number one, you don't have what you need. But number two, you also don't want to be in a position where your whole life is work. It's like there's something about the interactions with this person. It's like any of the limiting, thought patterns or concepts that you had, you seem to recognize and eliminate them because you see them in this person. So here's the thing. I feel like we have the Two of Pentacles here, by the way. This person feels really conflicted when it comes to you. It's like, man, I just wish I could give this person a really big hug. Feel like they need it. I feel like they seem to be somebody that it's like if you made them laugh and they started laughing, it's almost like they would stop as soon as they realized that they were laughing, because it's like they feel like they don't have the right to be happy. And I feel like that's because they see, or from their perspective, some of the choices they've made in their life have affected other people. And they take that real seriously. You know what I mean? It's like they take that responsibility very seriously. And when they see how it's impacted the people around them, it's like not only are they struggling with the betrayal that they've had, but now they're also kind of being consumed by guilt. So I do feel like this person, it's a shame because it kind of feels like the energy of like, oh, in another lifetime, man. So I think I'll leave it there, Virgo. If this reading resonated, I hope that it was helpful and brought you some clarity. If you have made it this far in the reading, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you guys so much. If you'd like a private reading with me, I think I've said this already, so I apologize if I have. My email is below in the description box. If you're new here, I put out new reads on Thursdays and then a mini love weekly read on Sunday. And there is a special Valentine's Day one coming out, so please keep an eye out for that. And we'll see you on the next one. Much love. Bye.